Hello, I'm Bill Babcock. I'm here to introduce the new Ke Nalu paddle. This is a paddle that my partner and I have been working on for about a year, and it's a substantial departure from the paddle you're probably using today. When we first started working on these paddles, some friends asked why we were considering going into the paddle business. I mean, after all, there's people in the paddle business now that are excellent manufacturers that have decades of experience in building paddles, and they just kind of wondered what we thought we could bring to the party. And my partner and I thought we could come up with some structural changes, some design changes that would make paddles lighter, stronger, and better from a structural standpoint. And so we saw places to improve that. But then as we started really getting into this, we applied some of my and my partner's geek nature to measure characteristics of paddles and try to understand ways to improve the performance of the blade and the way the paddle works. And so we designed and built this data capture system that records vibration and flutter and wobble and paddle position as we stroke the paddle. Records it on this little data recorder. So as we made all these measurements and started playing with the paddles, we changed our notion. We came to the conclusion that a lot of paddles, most paddles, are designed for beginner paddlers. The design characteristics of the paddles are there to overcome the flaws of the beginner's stroke. So we wanted to build a paddle that would reward advanced paddlers, people who are spending the time and effort and the training to have a better stroke. So I'm going to show you some of the features of this. The first fundamental design structural difference is in the way the paddle is attached to the shaft. So this is a conventional paddle. This is one of our beat up mule paddles that but this is one of our competitors' paddles, and like all paddles that are made this way, it has what they call a frog. The blade converges into a neck, and then that turns into a tube that the shaft is pushed into. Now the tube has to be hollow because the shaft is going to go into that. So there's no easy way to reinforce this tube. You know, this is a well-constructed, good paddle, but they all tend to break in the same kind of places. They break up here in the top where the frog joins the shaft. They break right here at this neck, and they break right here across the front of the paddle. So that tells us there's a design flaw, or at least a design limitation, of using this kind of connection. So if you look at our paddle, you see there is no frog. The blade comes very smoothly, no stress risers, into a ferrule. The ferrule goes inside the shaft and comes up to about here. One of the big advantages of an internal ferrule is we can reinforce inside of it. It doesn't have to be hollow. So this paddle is a lot stiffer across this section and a lot stronger than it would be if it had this kind of frog construction.